an idea that may be related to selling a product. All right. So everybody will have to go through this particular process. So it's better you learn this process as soon as possible. Okay. Like you might need to convince your boss to support your marketing strategy. So you might need to convince your boss regarding your proposed marketing strategy, or you might need to sell an idea to a prospective client, or you might need to tell about your expansion of a company to your banker. So in any situation, you need to have good communication skills and good presentation skills, and you will never be able to do it if you do not know the techniques, how to give good presentation and how to prepare a presentation, or how to do audience analysis, how to understand the purpose of communication. So we are going to talk about all these things into this session. Let's start. Presenting is a skill developed through experience and training. Nobody is born with. If you are one of those people who are scared of giving presentation, who have stage fright, it is completely common, because presentation is something you are not born with. This skill can be learned, this skill can be developed. You can perfectly take help of any instructor. With the right instruction and right practice, you can hone your skills of public speaking. You can be a very good communicator. So what is effective presentation? You might have this question in your mind that what kind of presentation is said to be the effective presentation? So it has certain characteristics that you need to keep in your mind. The first one is audience centered. Your presentation must be according to your audience's needs, expectations, interest. It must be audience oriented. It must center around your audience. Second thing, it should be simple but significant. Don't ever try to use difficult language while you are giving presentation. Use simple slide, elegant slide, but the content which you are going to deliver must be very significant. It must be according to your audience's needs and interest, and it must be very significant. Second thing, and the third point, accomplishes objective. Whenever you communicate, whenever you give any kind of presentation, you have certain objectives in your mind. Why am I giving presentation? What is the objective of my presentation? And you must align to your purpose while you are giving presentation. So this thing we will discuss in detail later on. Interesting for audience. This is very important. You need to make your presentation very interactive, very interesting. Otherwise, it will not be an effective presentation. Interesting for you. Why this point is important? If you are not taking interest in your presentation, or you are not enthusiastic about your presentation, definitely audience is not going to respond well. So you need to be very confident of what you are speaking, and you need to make it very interesting. Conducting within time frame. This is very important. You need to keep track of time while you are giving presentation. If you have been allotted 20 minutes, don't try to exceed these 20 minutes. If you have been given 20 minutes, so 15 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for question answer session. So it should be conducted within time frame. Okay, so when we start thinking about giving a presentation, there are three elements which are vital for making any presentation effective. And these are mentioned here in the in a way which is very important. The first is audience. The first important element for making a presentation is audience. The second is content, and the third is presenter. Now you must be wondering that many of you think that presenter is of highest importance. Some of you may think content is of highest importance. All things are important, but if you have to give priority, so the first thing is audience, the second is content, and the third is presenter. So I will explain why in the next slides. These are the four important steps of preparing a presentation. The first stage is planning. Suppose I'm giving you a topic that you have to give presentation on this topic. So you have a topic in your mind, you will start planning how to give presentation. So first stage is planning. The second stage is called preparation, where you will organize the content, you will gather supporting material, you will decide what will be the title of your appropriate title for your presentation. That is the preparation part. Then comes the practice part. You rehearse, you recreate the environment, you check the timing while practicing, and then the real performance. That is the fourth stage of presentation. When you plan a presentation, you have to go through all these phases. So this is the most important part. So you must remember the 4 P's of presentation: plan, prepare, practice, and perform. So if you say which one is the most important, this is the foundation of your presentation. This can make your presentation or break your presentation. That depends what kind of planning you are doing while preparing your presentation. So first thing, what do we need to know while we are planning? Know your purpose. This is the most important thing. You must know why you are giving presentation. What is my purpose? What do I want my audience to know? All right, at the end of the presentation. So purpose should be very clear. You must not deviate from your purpose. So if you do not know the purpose of communication or the purpose of your presentation, so definitely it is not going to make an impact on your audience. So purpose, deciding the purpose and knowing your purpose is the most important thing. There can be any purpose. The basic purpose are to inform your audience. You may want to give a presentation to persuade your audience. You may want to give a presentation to inspire your audience. So any of these purposes you can have while you are giving presentation. And sometimes these purposes can overlap as well. Like when you are informing, you can also persuade, and as well as you can also inspire. A person who is trying to persuade you can inform you as well as inspire you. All right. So these objectives can overlap at some point or the other. That is perfectly fine. But you must know what is the purpose of your presentation. Why are you giving presentation? And then this is the second stage of planning. The first stage of planning is knowing your purpose, and the second stage of planning is knowing your audience. Again, this is the most important aspect of preparing a presentation. And now you must be wondering, what should we know about your audience? Your audience can make your presentation successful, or your audience can make your presentation failure. That completely depends upon your audience. And how will you ensure that audience responds well to your presentation? The only situation is if you have already analyzed your audience properly. Only then audience can relate to your thoughts, your ideas that you are trying to present, and will respond to you in a positive way. So there are certain things you need to analyze about your audience. As the first line is written here, you can see success depends on your ability to reach your audience. So you must be able to connect with your audience. There is a wise proverb, you must have heard it. Let me quote it. Inform me, I forget. Show me, I remember. Involve me, I understand. So you need to involve your audience. You need to show them, you need to show your presentation in the form of imagery, in the form of multimedia presentations, in form of handouts. And the most important technique is you need to involve your audience in presentation. This is the most important thing. If you involve your audience in your presentation, definitely they are going to keep it in their memory forever. Okay. Second thing is size. What is the size of the audience? How many people will be there? It depends. Like if I'm talking to only 10 people or 5 people in a meeting room, in a conference room, I will be more confident. All right. If you come across that you have to speak to an audience of 100 or millions, in that case, your confidence can shake. So size is very important in the terms of planning. If you're planning, your preparation will be different, and then your practice will also be at a different level, because you're going to deal with, you're going to address 1,000 people or 2,000 people. Demographics, again, this is very important term. When we talk about demographics, it consists of the study of age, gender, ethnic background, religion of your audience, and their mindset, and their interest, their education level, what is their knowledge level. These things are very important. to make your presentation according to the needs and interest of your audience. Why? Because sometimes religion, gender, age, and ethnic background, these things impact your mindset. These things impact your identity. So you need to keep the heterogeneous audience in your mind and then prepare your presentation accordingly. Knowledge level. This is again a very important term. What is the level of the subject knowledge which you are going to present in the presentation? There are different types of audience, right? There's a philosopher Aristotle. He has talked about three types of audience: lay audience, managerial audience, and expert audience. So you have to find out what is the knowledge level of your audience, what kind of audience you are going to deal with. So expert audience, who has advanced level of knowledge about the subject you are going to deal with, or lay audience, or the managerial audience. And the last point is motivation. What is the motivation level of your audience? They have been forced to attend this presentation, or they are taking a real interest in that presentation. So these things are very important when you are planning your presentation. Anticipate its reactions. First, once you have analyzed your audience, after that, this is your duty to anticipate what kind of response you will get if you present this kind of topic. All right. And then make appropriate adaptations. Adaptations according to the interests, needs, expectations of your audience. So these things will be covered under audience analysis, and this is the most important part. As I already told you, there are three vital elements of presentation. The first is audience, the second is content, and the third is presenter. So as long as we have been talking about the importance of audience when we are planning our presentation, that is the first important stage in your preparation of presentation. Analysis of occasion and space is also important. How many seats will be there? What is the seating arrangement? Audio visual equipments. If you are going to analyze the space, whether you can use mic, whether you can use projector, everything is in place. Is there any distractor? Will you be any kind of, will you face any kind of distraction while giving presentation? Any kind of noise that may hamper your presentation? What is the day and time? Time is very important. If you are attending any presentation as an audience, you can feel it. If you are attending any presentation in the morning hours, like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you are more enthusiastic, more energetic. But you have been asked to attend any presentation at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, then your energy level is low. In that case, as a presenter, you will have to make more effort to make your audience, to make your presentation more interesting and interactive. What is the duration? In analysis, timing is also important. How many times you have been given? Suppose there are number of speakers in that session, so you will have to know the timing and try to conduct your presentation in that time frame. And the nature of event. What is the nature of event? Whether it is an event where you are going to give information, or you are going to persuade your audience, or you are going to motivate your audience. So that you need to understand the nature of event. In case you have any questions, you can note it down. We will discuss it in last 10 minutes. And then once you are planning your presentation, title selection is again very important. Okay. It must be appropriate and it must convey the essence of the topic which you are going to present. So you need to really work on it and try to find out the appropriate title for your presentation. This is the second part of 4 P's of presentation that I told you already: plan, prepare, practice, and perform. So this is the second part of presentation. In this part, there are 5-6 steps. Develop the central idea. What is the central idea? One-liner statement from presenter's point of view. Like if somebody asks you, what is your presentation about? So you must be able to tell the central idea of that presentation in 2 lines. So you must develop it. And the second step will be develop the main idea. That logical development of the central idea, that will be the developing the main idea. You can prepare many headings and subheadings under that main idea. Gather supporting material. Nobody will rely on your information unless you authenticate it. So you need to authenticate your presentation with the help of some interviews or some supporting material like facts, figures, examples, references. And then Planning visual aids. This is a very vast topic where you need a lot of preparation. What kind of visual aid you can use at the time of presentation, which will create a long lasting impact on your audience. This is again very important thing. All right. And then organize the presentation. Once you have planned all these things, you have planned the central idea, main idea, you have gathered supporting material, you have planned visual aids as well, that I am going to show multimedia presentation, or I am going to use videos, I am going to use flip charts or graphs or graphics. Once you have decided, then you have to organize your thoughts, organize your presentation. When you are organizing your presentation, you need to remember 3-4 points here. Keyword reminders. All right. Sometimes people say that repetition can be boring and the repetition can be negative if you think about your presenter, but intentional repetition can be good at the time of presentation. You should have certain keywords which you will use throughout the presentation. All right. And then conversational flow. What is this? This is very important. Sometimes it happens that you keep reading the manuscript and you keep reading words which are written in your slide. You do not. Yes, Shalu Pandey, you want to say something? Are you asking something? Yes, yes, tell me. What is the question, Shalu? You can have your questions with you. We will discuss in last 10 minutes. Okay. Conversational flow. We were discussing conversational flow. This is very important. You should always try to speak extemporaneously. All right. You can take help of your manuscript or your multimedia presentation as and when required, but you should try to speak freely. You will turn out to be more enthusiastic and more competent when audience will think about you. All right. So conversational flow must be maintained. Flexibility must be there. If you should not be very strict, whatever is written there, you will speak only those things. So flexibility must be followed while you are giving presentation. More responsive to audience. This is again the most important thing. And as I have already told you, audience plays a vital role in making your success, making your presentation successful or failure. So you should always try to keep your audience in your mind while preparing your presentation, while delivering your presentation. So you should be more responsive towards your audience. Okay, now we will talk about the presentation sequence. Opening your presentation, you have planned, you have prepared. Now you in the preparation phase, you are trying to prepare your presentation. So this is very important. The very first statement that you say during your presentation can make or break your presentation. All right. So opening is very important. First step is introduce yourself. Why should they listen to you? All right. Why should the audience take interest in you? So you have to make your introduction very interesting. Sometimes moderators are there, they will introduce you. And if they are not there, you have to introduce yourself. Second thing, establish credibility. How can you establish credibility? How can you ensure that audience trusts you? In that case, you will have to talk about your qualification. You may talk about your knowledge. You can talk about your experience. And in that way, you can establish credibility with your audience. Get attention and build rapport. Rapport building is like connecting with your audience. All right. Audience is able to feel what you are saying. So it is very important to maintain rapport or build rapport with your audience. So there are certain techniques to make your introduction catchy, interesting, and you can maintain rapport as well with your audience. So let's discuss these techniques. These are the various ways which you can use in order to hold the attention of your audience. You can create humor, but make sure this humor is sensible humor. All right. Short story or anecdotes. See, this is the fastest way of connecting with your audience. If you share any personal experience or a short story or anecdote, audience will start taking interest in your presentation since the beginning. Or you can share startling statistics. You can make your audience think or imagine in the beginning of your presentation. And as soon as your audience starts thinking or imagining, it means they are involved in your presentation. Invite participation. You can conduct an activity of 1 or 2 minutes in the beginning of your presentation, and that will invite more participation from audience. You can also ask open-ended questions. Open-ended question means where you do not expect any kind of answer. All right. Quotations. You can quote somebody whomever you are interested in, that must be directly related to your presentation. And the bold statement, like this is very bold statement. If I start my presentation, I say that the very first word that you utter while starting your presentation can make or break your presentation. This is something very bold. So such kind of statement you can speak while you are introducing your topic. So these are the various techniques to make your introduction interesting. Then the heart of your presentation, the main body. All right. So explanation will be there, but make sure that explanation is not make sure the explanation is directly related to your presentation. You should not add irrelevant details and irrelevant explanation. To the point, headings and subheadings, and you can also use images in order to enhance the understanding of your topic. And then once you have prepared your introduction and the body, and the last part is concluding your presentation, it should be as effective as your introduction. It should be as impressive as the beginning of your presentation. Don't ever underestimate the conclusion of your presentation. You should try to make it as much impressive as the beginning was. All right. So how will you conclude your presentation? Don't conclude it suddenly without information. Inform your audience that you are about to close your presentation. Summarize main points. This is always a very good technique to make your audience remember whatever points you discussed in last 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So you should always try to summarize the main points. You can say like this: as I end my presentation, I would like to remind you that these are the topics we discussed. These are the main points that we discussed today. So something like that. Something to remember, or call to action. What do you want your audience to do or remember at the end of the presentation that must be added in the conclusion of your presentation? All right. What do you want your audience to do or remember after this presentation that must be added in the conclusion of your presentation? An answer question. Question answer session is very important. You must try to answer all the queries of your audience. Okay, so when we are talking about organizing the idea and introduction, the main body and the conclusion, these 3 T's are very important. Try to remember these 3 T's: tell, tell, and tell. All right. The first tell is what you are going to tell, means you are going to introduce your topic. Then tell it, then actually you will convey that information, and then tell them what you have told them, means you will try to summarize what you have already told. So this is a very good, as I told you, intentional repetition sometimes do wonders in your presentation. So you should have keywords, reminders in your presentation. You should try to use it whenever required. All right. So tell, tell, and tell. Try to remember these 3 T's of presentation. And then comes the third part. I have told you 4 P's of presentation: plan, prepare, practice, and performance. Then this is the third part of your presentation. Okay. What comes first? Rehearsal. Rehearse as much as possible. The more you practice, the more confident you become. There is no other solution for becoming a good speaker, or a good communicator, or good presenter. The more you practice, the more confident you become. Keeping the track of timing is also very important. If you practice, then if you are having a track watch with you, so you can keep a track of the timing, and you will try to practice. And suppose you have been given 20 minutes for your presentation, so in that case you will rehearse for those 20 minutes and you will keep a track of timing. All right. Recreate the environment. This is the very important term. All right. Recreating the environment means, suppose you have to give presentation day after tomorrow in a seminar hall. So if you get the opportunity, try to go to that seminar hall. Imagine as if you are standing in front of the audience and you are giving presentation. right? That will help you in overcoming stage fright. This is the most common thing that everybody goes through, all right? Stage fright. So you need to recreate the environment in order to be confident, in order to be very competent speaker. And then the performance part, when you are going to perform, there are certain presentation techniques that you need to follow. Three elements are very important when you are talking about presentation techniques: vocal techniques, voice modulation, how loud you are while you are giving your speech, what is the pitch, what is the rate, where will you use pause, where will you stop, which word you will emphasize. So voice modulation is very important when it comes to presentation. All right, you must practice it. How can you practice it? How can you take a feedback of yourself while you're practicing? You can take help of your instructor, your teacher, your guide, or if nobody is there, in that case you can record your presentation and then see what kind of problems you have and how can you overcome that. All right, that is the best way. Deviations from the norm for emphasis. If you just keep speaking in just one pace, there is no change of pitch, no change of rate and the loudness. Nobody will take interest in that. So you need to emphasize some words which are very important. So for that sake, voice modulation must be followed. Second thing is body language. All right. Sometimes most of you may have stage fright when it comes to presentation or when it comes to public speaking. So you can always fake your non-verbals. All right. Smile, maintain eye contact with your audience, have positive gesture and posture while you're giving presentation. Let your body show that you are enthusiastic, you are prepared, you are confident. So body language is very important when it comes to presentation. And then use of space. This is again very important. Can everyone see you? You must ask this question yourself, that can everyone see you, and what is the area where you can move. Don't get glued to the podium because this gives a very negative impression. All right, try to cover the entire stage, try to walk while you are giving presentation, and this will show your audience that you are competent, you are confident, and you are enthusiastic about your presentation. So three important elements, as I told you: vocal techniques, body language, and use of space. These things are very important when it comes to successful presentation. Then the common problems that we face, like these are the verbal pillars. There are many people who keep pronouncing these words like who, like, any unrelated word or phrase. Swaying, rocking, and pacing. Swaying, rocking, and pacing. These words are quite similar. I will show you. Like some, you might have seen many people while they give any kind of presentation and while they speak, they keep moving like this. All right. So this must be avoided while you are giving presentation. Hands in pockets. It should not be done while you are giving presentation. You should not have your hands in pockets. Lip smacking, fidgeting. Like fidgeting is when you keep doing your pen like this. Suppose you have a pen and you are doing like this. You are using your finger. All right. You are having your hands like this. So these things must be avoided while giving presentation. Failure to be audience centered. All right, sometimes you have so much of information with you that you get lost in that information and you fail to you fail to act according to the expectation of your audience. So that is the problem. So how can you overcome it? If you practice many times before giving your presentation, that may help you at the time of real presentation. So 5 presentation tips, let me tell you, what are the things you must focus upon? The first thing is smile. Always maintain positive vibes, always maintain positive body language. Try to smile whenever you are going to start your presentation. Second thing is breathe, relax, all right? And make yourself feel that nobody can give presentation better than yours. So you are doing best, whatever you can do. So breathe, relax, and then start your presentation. Always have a water bottle with you and take a sip of water before giving presentation. And if required, you can take a sip of water during presentation as well. Notes, you can have a notes, a manuscript with you, but as I already told you, you should try to speak extemporaneously. Don't try to read each and every word from that notes. However, you can take help of those notes as and when required, and finish on or within time. All right, nobody likes a long presentation. So if you have been allotted time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you should try to finish on time or within time. All right, so that you are left with 5 or 10 minutes for question answer session. Okay. When I was telling you about creating visual aids, planning visual aids for your presentation, I already told you this is very vast topic and you must focus upon that. So how will you create effective visual aid? Right, so you need to understand what is visual aid. It enhances understanding, it can add variety, it can support your claim while you are giving presentation. Otherwise, how can you tell about the claim? You can show some statistics, you can show some videos, you can show some stories in order to support your idea. So you can use visual aids for all these things. Something you see has a lasting impact in your mind, so it's always better to use such kind of things. It can also help you to illustrate complex ideas. Suppose you have to show some statistics, so you cannot just tell them, you will have to show some graphics, some charts, some flip charts, some data. So for that sake, you can use visual aids. But the main thing, last line is very important. If used poorly, it will not enhance the understanding. It will only become a distraction. And if it becomes a distraction, it will lead to ineffective presentation. So we must use it wisely. You must decide, how can I convey my information to my audience in a better way? What can help me in giving my presentation in an effective way? And try to find out the best way and use that. What are the examples of visual aids? Like PowerPoint slides, as I am using right now, graphs and charts, pictures, films and videos you can use, flip charts, and sketches. These are the some of the examples. There are n number of things which you can use at the time of presentation. So whatever suits you, whatever is suitable for your topic, you can choose that visual aid. And when you are choosing visual aid, you must have these things in your mind, that it must supplement your presentation. If it is trying to distract the topic, there is no use of that visual aid. So it must supplement the topic which you are presenting at the time of presentation. Outline of main points. Don't write so many things in your, suppose you are preparing PowerPoint slides, so only keywords in the form of phrases must be written. Like you can see this slide, complete sentence is not written here, only keywords, main points in the form of phrases. All right, that must be written in this way. It must serve audiences needs, not speakers. This is again very important part. Sometimes it happens, if you have stage fright and if you are not very confident of giving public speech, at that time you end up writing so many things in your PPT, so that you keep reading at the time of presentation. But this should not happen when it comes to visual aids. It must serve audiences needs, all right, not speakers. It must be simple and clear. This is the most important thing. Don't try to use difficult words, or you should always use elegant slide, elegant design while you are while you are selecting these visual aids. So it improves comprehension, it adds variety to your presentation, and it also helps in illustrating complex ideas. So it is always advisable. So if required, or if you think that it can enhance your presentation, definitely you must use visual aids. See, this is the example. What kind of difference do you find in the first picture and the second picture? You can respond me in chat. What kind of difference do you find? This is the first image is before revision, and when you revised it, this is the second image. All right. So what kind of difference do you find, and which one do you think is better? Second one is better. Okay. Somebody is asking me to show the last slide once again. Let me show it once again. Is it the slide you are talking about? Okay, then which one? Let me go to another slide. Are you talking about this slide? Okay, I'll show any slide whichever you want at the end of the presentation. Okay, this is the one you're looking for. All right. Okay, second one is better. Why? Better background. Words are crystal clear. You can, the color choice is better. All right, you can read each and every word clearly. If you see the first one, the font color is not appropriate. All right, you have to make extra effort while you are trying to read it. All right, so 6 bullet per slide or fewer. This is the tip also, you can read it. All right, 6 words per bullet or fewer. Upper and lowercase type. All right, do not try to everything try to write everything in uppercase. All right, use both cases. Concise phrases, not sentences, as this is the example. Simple typeface means simple font. Consistent spacing, capitalization, and punctuation. All right. If you are using one line space in the first 2 lines, the same spacing must be followed in the other lines as well. This is the one more example of using visual aids. All right. Which one do you think is better, the first one or the second one? Of course, the second one is better, right? The first one is before revision, and the second one is after revision. Can you see the difference? Reason for selling online. This is the topic, and why you should sell online. This is after revision. All right. In the first, you can see your online business can grow globally. This is a complete sentence written here. But as I told you, you must try to write phrases, not complete sentences. So here, grow business globally. Only important words are written here and it is conveying the same meaning. So what is the need of writing so many words? All right. So customer convenience, and customer can buy quickly and easily. If you read the second point and the last point in the first picture, both are conveying the same thing. Customer convenience and customer can buy quickly and easily. Both are conveying the same meaning. So there is no point of writing these 2 lines. All right. So you can write one line, offer convenience to customers. That is the written in the second picture. All right. Conduct business 24 into 7. This is again concise phrase. All right. Reduce inquiries by providing policies and privacy statement in the first picture. In the second picture, it is written, create policies to reduce inquiries. Concise phrase. All right. So whenever you give any kind of information that makes you an effective communicator, you need to follow 7 C's of communication. You need to be clear what you are saying. The idea must be very clear. You need to use concise phrases. You must try to convey your information and as minimum words as possible. All right. So you need to write concise phrases when it comes to PowerPoint slides. These are certain points to remember. Begin with a pause. You must punctuate your words. All right. Don't speak fast. You should try to speak slowly. Begin with a pause. Emphasize important words. Introduction must be interesting. I told you certain techniques to make your introduction interesting, and you must follow one of those. Present your first statement from your memory. All right. Don't try to read from your notes or from your PowerPoint slides. Try to memorize the first few statements, and then present it. Maintain eye contact. Like I told you, when it comes to presentation techniques, body language, voice modulation is very important. So try to maintain eye contact with your audience. All right. Control your voice and vocabulary. That is the voice modulation. Dress appropriately. If you like it or not, you are judged the way you dress yourself at the time of presentation. So try to dress appropriately according to the occasion, according to the event. Speak extemporaneously. The same thing I have been telling you throughout the session, that do not try to speak whatever you have written in your slide. You must try to speak extemporaneously. This will help you in being more competent, more enthusiastic, and more confident. And this is the most important problem that we all go through. No matter how many times you have given presentation, everybody will have some kind of stage fright. All right, you may have dry mouth, sweaty hands, you may fumble. All right, you may sweat badly at the time of presentation. So there are certain ways to overcome it. All right, and you can do it gradually. And the more you practice, the more confident you become, and you will be able to overcome your stage fright. So what are the various techniques to overcome stage fright? The first thing, the first key is prepare thoroughly. The more you prepare, the more you practice, the more confident you become. So preparation is very important. What are the reasons of stage fright? Maybe you have not given presentation so far, so that may be one reason. Other may be lack of preparation and lack of practice. Though you need to practice a lot. Prepare thoroughly and rehearse repeatedly unless you feel now you are ready to give your presentation. Reach early. Sometimes it happens that you have to give the presentation, you are the first speaker, but you are reaching late. That will increase your heartbeats, all right, and that will add to some negativity. So you should always try to reach early to the venue. Breathe deeply, relax, take a long breath, and then start. Feel you are confident, you are going to rock the presentation. Speak slowly. Sometimes, when you are nervous, when you are anxious, you try to speak very fast. So, try to speak slow while you are giving presentation. Convert your fear. What is converting your fear? You can convert your fear. Suppose if you're anxious, you are nervous, you have like anxiety before giving presentation. So in that case, you can convert your fear. You can have a positive self talk with you. All right, you can motivate yourself that I am going to give best presentation. So that can convert your fear into enthusiasm, into energy. Use simple language. Sometimes it happens, in order to make the best impression on the audience, people start using difficult words and difficult phrases, and that at times may create problem. All right, so it's better to use simple language. It will help you in being confident at the time of presentation. Stay hydrated. You can have a water bottle with you and keep taking water, a sip of water, and before you start your presentation, take a sip of water and then start. Ignore any stumbles. To err is human, to forgive is divine. You can make a mistake at the time of presentation, so ignore that. And audience will forget it if you just continue your presentation with confidence. All right. So these are the certain techniques to combat stage fright. That's all. If you have any question related to the session, related to any topic, you can ask me. We have 10 more minutes. Okay, now tell me, how many of you have stage fright whenever it comes to presentation? Do you have any kind of fear? And what kind of symptoms do you have when it comes to stage fright? What kind of symptoms do you have? Yes, dry mouth. Okay. Nancy is saying dry mouth. All right. Getting nervous and can't be able to speak properly. Speak fast sometimes. Yes, this is also one of the symptoms of stage fright. Shivering legs. Yes, it happens with many people. Getting nervous. So this, see, what I just tell you is this is completely normal. If you have any of these symptoms, completely normal, because good speakers are made, not born. You're not, you can, nobody is a born speaker. All right. You can always learn this skill. You can become a competent speaker, an effective speaker, with the help of your instructor and with right instruction and right practice. All right. So you can develop this skill. Anushka is asking, ma'am, if topic is boring, then how can we make the presentation interesting? All right. So you have to understand, you have to analyze the audience's expectations. All right. What is the knowledge level of your audience, and what is their need, what is their interest, and why they are attending this presentation, what kind of expectations do they have with the presenter. And you can see, if the topic is very boring, you can have some visuals, you can take help of visual aids, you can show some inspirational video. All right, you can create sensible humor as well. All right, and you can invite active participation of your audience. You can ask your audience to imagine something, and then you can expect some kind of answers from them. And in that case, you can make it interesting. So, in summary, you have to remember three things, that whenever you are going to start your presentation, three vital elements you need to remember: the audience, content, and presenter. Secondly, 4 P's of presentation, the 4 different phases of presentation, that is plan, prepare, practice, and perform. All right, you must remember these 4 points and prepare your presentation accordingly. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you all for joining.